What's up, guys? David122, and it's Top Tuesday. Oh yes, I seem to have gotten this series underway, and I'm actually sticking to it, which is amazing because, I don't know, it's just to see. I actually like... Thanks, Marty. You literally do this every single time I'm recording. I actually really like Marty, what was I saying? And today's list is going to be a fun one because it gives me... Really? I'm really enjoying these list videos because they give me an opportunity to discuss things in a format that people seem to really enjoy, as well as just kind of, getting my opinions into the mix here. What am I talking about? Today's list is an interesting one. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for a little while now, and I'm just getting it checked off the list. And that is the top 5 top decks in the game. Not like a top deck, like a good deck, like top deck, like a card that you top deck. What is top decking? Basically, top decking for our purposes is going to be whenever that you control no cards in your hand or very few cards in your hand and very few cards on the field, and you are in a losing position and it is your turn and you have one more draw, one heart of the cards moment in order to fix this duel, and you just get that card and you're like, yes, I can win. I feel great. We can do this. Now, there are a ton of really good top deck cards in this game, to just get you out of jams. So if I forgot one, just leave it in the comments below, but let's get started. Number 5 is going to be a tie between MacLeod and Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. Both of these cards are fantastic top decks in the sense that they really only work when you top deck them. Palladium Oracle MacLeod is a level 7 light spellcaster with Dark Magician stats. When you draw this card, you special summon it to the field, and when it battles a dark monster during damage calc, it doubles its attack. And when it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to summon a Dark Magician from your hand deck or graveyard, which is really cool. Rank Up Magic, the 7th one, works in a very similar way. It is a Rank Up Magic spell card that when you draw it for your normal draw phase, you reveal it, and then you keep it revealed until your main phase, and then the first thing you do during your main phase is play this card. And once you play this card, you special summon from your extra deck one Xyz monster from level numbers 101 to 107? And then immediately Xyz summon their C counterpart on top of that monster. So when you draw this card for your draw turn, you reveal it, then you can summon 101, and then you immediately, after 101 hits the field, you Xyz summon C101 on top of it. Both these cards have the same idea where they actually only work when they're top decked, which is actually kind of funny, which is why I put them on the same spot, but they also only work in kind of specific decks. MacLeod is very specifically stuck in Dark Magician. The 7th one's a little more generic, however, you still need to have the 2 monsters to go into in the extra deck, so you still have to play certain cards for it to work, so I kind of put them in the same spot because they are very dependent on what deck they're in. However, they are an absolute great top deck because they can get you out of a jam, both basically being a free problem-solving monster. And let's not forget that C101 is actually still a fantastic Xyz monster, even though it's well past that card's prime. It's still a great option. And then I think C107, the big Tachyon Dragon, is also just a huge, like, 4,500 beater, so that's just another really cool thing you can do to get yourself out of a jam, maybe even swing and do some damage for game. Number 4 is Dark Hole or Regeki. It doesn't really matter which one. Dark Hole and Regeki are on the same spot on this list because both of them are a board wipe, and when you're top decking them, they are normally effectively the same card because you don't have any monsters, your opponent's got a big board you're trying to break, so you top deck that Regeki, top deck that Dark Hole, and you just wipe their board, destroy all monsters they got. What makes these cards great top decks is because sometimes if you just nuke your opponent's board, maybe you don't have a follow-up play, but you set them back enough where the next turn they don't have enough resources to get game on board, which gives you another turn so you can top deck something else. And maybe if you do have a few cards like some in your hand or some on the field, you can actually combo off and make your plays more safely because you dealt with a bunch of dumb big monsters on the board. Honestly, there isn't much else to say about this because frankly, they both do the exact same thing and everyone knows what Dark Hole and Regeki do. Number 3 was actually going to be stuck in the other 2 from number 4, but I decided it should get its own because it does do a little bit more, and that's Kaiju Interrupted Slumber. Interrupted Slumber is basically just Dark Hole, except that also not only does it kill every monster on the field, but it gives each player a different Kaiju from the deck. I want to give this one its own slot because not only does it destroy all the monsters on the field, it gives you a giant beater, it gives your opponent a less giant beater that you are going to just mash over in battle, meaning you're the only one that now controls the monster, which swung the entire advantage of the play, which is completely in your favor, like +3 or some hooey, and it's just a fantastic momentum swing, a big tempo swing. It's a great freaking top deck, and it gets you a monster on board, unlike the other two. But not only that, next turn you can actually then banish the card from your graveyard to search a kaiju, meaning you get a little extra value out of it if you can keep the duel going for another turn or so. Overall, it's a fantastic card, and I can see why they put it to 1. This was at 3 at one point. Isn't that crazy? Number 2 was a really hard one. I couldn't figure out which one to put, so I decided to make it another twofer, and this one's gonna be either Blue Boy or Pot of Desires. Basically, the idea here is that every once in a while you will run into a situation where you cannot make a play and you top deck into a good old-fashioned +1, and then there you go, you've got 2 cards now instead of the 1 in your hand, and you can now make a play. With Blue Boy, you normal summon Blue Boy, you get the Spellbook of Secrets, use Secrets to get the Spellbook of Knowledge, use Knowledge, send the Blue Boy, and then draw 2. You started the turn with 1 card, you are now holding 2 cards, you made a solid +1 play, you thinned your deck, and maybe now that you actually have it, you have 2 cards in your hand, you can now use those 2 cards of combo and start getting momentum back in your favor. If I had to give the edge to one of these combos, though, I would have to give it to Pot of Desires, because Pot of Desires doesn't burn your normal summon, meaning those 2 cards that you get off of Pot of Desires, if one of them is a monster you need a normal summon, you haven't burned your normal summon already, you can actually get your plays going. And yes, Pot of Desires is a +1. Before somebody in the comments, it's a -9. No, it's not. You drew 1 card, it was Pot of Desires. You played the card, you drew 2 cards, you now have 2 cards, you went +1, you now have 2 cards instead of the 1 you started your turn with. It is a great top deck. And if you are going to lose because you are in a top decking situation, the 10 cards you just hit off the top of your deck completely don't matter because you were going to lose anyway, so you might as well just dig for 2 cards and see what you get, and you know, if the odds are in your favor, you can make a play, and if not, you lost anyway, so whoop-de-freak-a-do. But either way, a solid +1 like that is always good. Honorable mention would probably go to, like, I don't know, Preparation of Rites, which could have probably been stuck in, probably could have been, like, pre-prep would also work for this. Those 2 could have been stuck in the first entry with the very, very deck-specific ones. The trouble is, prep lost the deck that it was good in. It was really good in Necros because when you had 3 Brionic, top decking if you were nothing in your hand, nothing on the field, you could top deck prep, get back a Brio, get back a spell, you were just gold. You now can get anything that you want. You were just absolutely golden. That's a broken top deck in Necros. The problem is, you know, the deck has been so severely hit on the ban list still that even though we have 3 of it, it's just not as powerful as it used to be because there just isn't a home for it. Pre-prep, not so much. You know, Herald is a pretty solid deck, and there is a couple of decent decks that it can run, but nothing super meta-defining. So again, you know, it's a great +1 maneuver, and they kind of fit into that deck-specific awesome top decks, but I gave them honorable mention because they just don't have a deck right now that makes them very, very good. And the other ones, you know, the Mahad's a fan favorite because it's Dark Magicians, and then the 7th one is just, you know, 7th was just a really good top deck. It's like one of the best. But nope, number 1 has to go to my old pal, buddy, old homie, Card of Demise. Oh boy, Card of Demise is a busted top deck. When you thought you could go +1 with Pot of Desires on a top deck, how about go +2 with Card of Demise? You have no cards on field, no cards on hand. You rip that Card of Demise, you now got 3 cards in hand. That's a +2. That's a 3 back row. Maybe it's like a Ryo normal summon and then like 2 traps. That might be all you need to make a comeback that is such a huge advantage swing. That's probably one of the reasons why people like to say that maybe Demise shouldn't be in the game, because it's just such a strong top deck card and it's such an easy card to abuse because you just play it, you know, draw a bunch and then use all those cards or set all those cards so that you don't actually get that end phase discard effect that it has. It basically becomes a non-issue because you just never ever resolve it with any cards in hand because of the decks that run Card of Demise can just dump their hands and empty their hands. But that does not take away for the fact that Card of Demise is just so busted. Now you could make the argument it is kind of deck specific like the other cards, so why isn't it in like set 5 or entry 5? And I think it just because the fact that it is a solid +2 in most instances just means that even though it's kind of deck specific, that just puts it way over. That's just so much advantage. It's crazy. So anyway, guys, that was my list of the good top decks. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the list and any of the awesome top deck cards that you guys like to, you know, just feel like a Yu-Gi-Moto moment when you rip that off the top of your deck. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And remember, guys, if you don't troll the meta, who will? I will see you guys for the next Top Tuesday. I think that was an okay recording. I think that was an okay recording.
Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my totally rad dueling. Watching more of these videos is almost as fine as Taya's ass? What? I'm not saying that. Fine, then it's time to duel.